Hello and welcome to another manga spotlight. Today's series is I'm the Evil Overlord of Intergalactic Empire by Mishima Yomu and Nadejima Kai. This is an Isekai series based off of a web novel series by Mishima Yomu, and Nadejima Kai is adapting it into a manga format. Unlike other Isekais, this is less medieval fantasy inspired and more science fantasy space opera. And the basic gist is that a good person ends up getting screwed over in his previous life, gets sent to a fantasy world, space fantasy world, I should say, where he is the ruler of a planet, and he decides, you know what, being good never got me anywhere, so I'm just going to be evil. I'm going to become an evil overlord. But by doing that, he makes everybody happy. In his past life, Liam was hardworking and honest. This got him nothing but death and betrayal. Now he's been reborn as a ruling noble of a planet. Time for some payback. This life, he'll grind the world under his heel. He's only looking out for himself. All his underlings will suffer, but try as he might, tyranny only seems to make his subjects happier. So we start off this series with Liam coughing, he's dying, and we basically get to see what happened to him. And it turned out that he had a great life. He worked hard at his job, he got married, he had a baby, he bought a house. And then all of a sudden he had to work 2 jobs to pay off some stupid debt. And his wife ended up leaving him, won't let him see the baby. His job believes that he's cheating on his wife and cheating the company as well, so he's fired. He's not able to pay back any of his debts, and so he loses everything, and he ends up dying miserably and alone. And as he's dying, this weird dude in a top hat shows up, and this person is called Guide, Guide. And as Liam is dying, he's like, "Are you here to take me away?" Like, usually people see, their beloved pets or someone beloved to them. The only person Liam ever had in his life was his dog. Everyone else has ended up betraying him. And that's when Guy says, "I am here to take you. However, I'm not taking you to the afterlife. I have another idea for you. But before that, let's see what your wife is doing right now." And then we see his wife having dinner with another dude. I should say his ex-wife. And the other dude is like, "Not only did you push your debt onto your ex-husband, you even made him pay child support, not to mention the kid isn't even his." And the wife's like laughing about it, and she's like, "Yeah, it doesn't matter because he's a father on paper, and so because of that, he has to pay child support." Women are always looking to give birth to babies with superior genes. There's no way I would want to have a baby with an average dude like that, so it's a good thing that his child is not his. And it's basically just like another slap in the face to him, and he just realizes that his wife has always been cheating on him and all this stuff. And the guide asks him, "I have a present for you. Because your luck has been so bad, I wish for you to attain some happiness in the next life. So do you want to try reincarnating into another world?" And he's just kind of thinking about it even more. He's like, "Wait a second, the fraud case, the reason I got fired." The guy's like, "Yeah, your old boss punished his own wrongdoings onto you. You were totally innocent." So it turns out that the boss was stealing money and putting it onto him. He's the one that got fired. So basically, he realizes, you know what? Everyone has screwed me over. I'll never forgive them. I want revenge. And the guy's like, "I'm sorry. I can't give you revenge on these people, but I can take you to another world, and I'll let you choose what world you want to be in. You want to be a fantasy world where science and magic has been developed? Do you want to be in a world with intergalactic nations?" And he chooses that world. And as he's being teleported there, he's like, "My next life, I'm going to be an evil lord." And that's when the guide starts laughing. It's like, man, what an unfortunate life. How stupid is this guy? What an idiot. There are countless people that are even more unfortunate than you in this world. I just wanted to see how far you can fall. Basically, this guy feeds also off of negative emotions. So he even manipulated his wife to end up cheating on him and stuff. He ends up screwing over the wife, and the wife feels a bunch of negativity and stuff, and the guy starts feeding off of it. So he basically sets up people to screw over their lives, to have just nothing but negative emotions so that he can feed off of it. And he decided that he's going to do that to Liam as well. That's why he was showing Liam all the terrible things in his life so he can feed off his negative energy. And then he's going to send him into another world where he's going to build him up just so he can knock him down and feed off more of his negative energy. So Liam ends up getting reincarnated in this space opera kind of world. He is just one of many princes under the Banfield name. He ends up ruling over a planet. Basically, his family rules over multiple planets, and everyone gets a planet to rule over. And the planet that he's been given kind of sucks. It's in disarray. His family is in debt. This is like a backwater planet. And so he decides, okay, you know what? Things need to change. So he has this maid built for him called Amagi. She's an AI maid, and he starts using her to gather like information. And he also has a butler named Brian who's very faithful to him. And basically what he decides to do is, I need to change things. Like, I want to be an evil emperor, but things need to be a little bit different. So for example, I want money. I hate this mansion that I live in. I want to build a new mansion, but that would cost a lot of money that we don't really have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tax the crap out of my civilians so that I can get more money. However, the maid points out to him, the people are already poor. If you overtax them, you're not going to get anything. And Liam's like, you know what? You're right. So the thing I got to do is I got to build the economy up. If I make all these poor people richer, then I can tax them for more money. So in his mind, he's thinking that he's an evil lord. Like this is an evil thing to do. But to the people of this planet, they are completely fine with that because they get more money. They're like, hey, you want to tax us? That's great. Like, that's fine because you've made us so much money that the tax that you're taking from us now is like a drop in the bucket. It doesn't mean anything to us. And this is basically how Liam goes about his evil doings. He thinks he's doing evil things that's only benefiting himself, or he's doing things to help other people because his end goal is that it'll benefit him. But because he's helping other people, regardless of why he's doing it, the people love him. So we have like a moment where he realizes that his entire planet, the military is way too big. Like only a certain amount of ships are actually in operation. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to slash that budget. We're going to get rid of a bunch of ships because we don't need all those ships. And Brian's trying to point out like, well, like the reason you have all these ships is because it's a sign of prestige. Like it's a sign of your nobility that you have a huge army at your beck and call. But Liam's like, yeah, but that's just a waste of money because most of these ships aren't doing anything. And if we cut them, then I'll be richer because I'll have more money. So he slashes the military budget, gets rid of a bunch of ships. Instead, what he does is he uses that money to build ships that are higher grade, like higher tier, but at a lower number. And the rest of the money, he goes and spends it back into the economy, which just improves the planet even more. He also decides, you know what, I need to get stronger myself. Like I need to build up my own martial skills, my own fighting prowess. And so the guide wants to screw over Liam even more. Because he's like, okay, well, Liam is kind of doing a pretty decent job right now. Let's screw him over by sending him the samurai named Yasushi. And Yasushi is terrible. This guy is not even really a samurai. He's a con man. And so the guide basically manipulates the world so that Yasushi and Liam cross paths, and Liam ends up hiring as his teacher. And the guy absolutely sucks. He basically just spends all his time just chilling, drinking tea, resting, and he gives Liam these stupid tasks that aren't real. Like they're tasks that no one can actually really do. So for example, one of them is he swings his sword and the wind from the sword ends up cutting a bunch of stumps. And then it turns out that the stumps are actually tricks. It was just a con. Like the stumps are already pre-sliced and he has this device that makes them not get knocked over. So there's no way Liam can actually do this. Well, Liam practices, and he practices so much and for so long that he's actually able to do this skill. He actually is able to cut these stumps without needing trickery. So it becomes this thing where this guy is giving him these crazy tasks that no one's ever going to be able to pull off. But because Liam like really practices day and night, year after year after year, he is actually able to do these and he becomes stronger. So basically the guide keeps throwing obstacles in Liam's way to make his life worse, but it only ends up making Liam's life better. And Liam keeps thanking him for it. And because of this, the guide ends up becoming weaker and weaker. He ends up developing pain because he can't take happiness. He feeds off of negativity. But because Liam thinks he's helping him, Liam praises him constantly, and the praise just makes him weaker and weaker and more in pain. And so we just have Liam going around. Like we have one moment where there's this nobleman that shows up, and this guy is basically scamming his people. And the guy thinks that Liam will, be praising him because he's like, I'm robbing from the people, but I can give a cut back to Liam because he's the boss. And Liam just thinks, first off, this reminds him of his previous life where his boss was screwing him over. Not only that, but these are his people that he's scamming. And nobody scams his people but him. So Liam ends up killing the nobleman, and word gets around to the people, and the people get happy for it because they're like, wow, this government official that was shady and corrupted and screwing us over, he got killed by our leader because our leader found out about this. And the people love him even more because they're like, oh, he really is a man of the people. We get things where like Liam decides that he wants to build schools for his people, because if his people go to school and they get smarter, then they will be able to succeed in life. And if they succeed in life, they'll make more money. And if they make more money, then Liam will be able to tax them more. And so Liam will get more money. And so he starts building schools. He basically turns this backwater planet into a first world planet. And again, he's doing this for selfish reasons, but the people don't know that. The people think, wow, this guy is great. Like, this guy has improved our economy. He's building schools. He's building hospitals so that we can live longer. Everyone is getting richer. And the reason is because, again, the richer they become, the longer they live, the more he can tax them and the longer he can tax them for. But they don't know about this and they don't care about this because their life has improved. If they have to pay some taxes for a better life, they'll pay some taxes for a better life. They don't care. He keeps doing this more and more and more, and it's hilarious. Even becomes to the point where like he looks at his people and he's like, everyone seems to be doing good, but they all look very bland. Like, this clothing is just terrible. We need to bring in like some fashion designer over here to spice up everyone's clothing, because if people are aesthetically pleasing, they'll be happier. If they're happier, they'll work more. And if they work more, I can make more money off of them. So then he brings in like fashion designers to make fashion clothing for his people. So it's just this constant circle of him doing things to benefit himself, but it actually ends up benefiting everybody under him. So everyone freaking loves him for it. We get to a point where Liam wants to build a giant mech because he thinks that mechs are cool. And he thinks it's like a sign of power. Like, if people saw me in a giant mech, they'll like worship me even more. They'll be less likely to revolt against me, even though there's no thoughts to revolt whatsoever. So he gets built this giant mech. And eventually the guide is like, you know what? I'm sick of Liam and his success. He was supposed to be an evil ruler. Instead, he's benefiting his people. His people love him. They're showering him with praise. We got to do something. So he decides to put a bounty on Liam's head, and there's going to be a space pirate that's coming to collect it. And Liam gets word of this. And the guide even tells Liam, like, I'm the one that put the bounty on your head. And Liam's like, why would you do that? And the guide's lying to him. And the guide's like, because I wanted to reward you for all your great work. This pirate has a treasure that I have specifically for you, but you have to defeat him first to get it. And the reason he's saying this is because he wants Liam to put himself into battle so that he'll get killed by the pirate. And basically, in his moment of death, the guide can feed off of his negativity. But Liam is like, oh, wow, you're giving me a present and stuff. That's awesome. I love you even more, guide. And so we have a moment where the pirates start attacking. Like, they show up, and Liam goes and he sends out his battle fleet, and Liam is there to watch. And eventually he discovers where the main pirate is at. And he's like, you know what? I am going to go there, and I'm going to take my own mech, and I'm going to fight the pirate myself. I'm going to go crash into his ship, and I'm going to destroy him from the inside out. And the reason why he wants to do that is because he wants the treasure for himself. He's worried that if he sends any other people in, then maybe his soldiers might find the treasure first, and they won't give it to him. So he's like, if I lead the charge and I defeat this pirate, I can find the treasure and make sure that no one else gets it. But everyone else sees this as, wow, this is a true leader. He is someone who's not hiding behind his soldiers, but rather he's in the front lines. This is a leader that we can all respect. This is a leader we can all die for because he's putting his life on the line for us. The least we can do is put our life on the line for him. And we even have him cackling maniacally because he realizes, like, you know, I'm an evil overlord. And so he has to have an evil laugh. So he does like an evil laugh. And his people are like, wow, look at him. He's trying to raise our morale by laughing. Let's join him in laughter and help him lead the charge to victory. So no matter what Liam does, everyone just sees him as a great person. Like, for example, we get a moment where he goes and he kills the pirates and he starts stealing all the treasure. And he realizes that the pirate was capturing a bunch of slaves. And then once the slaves were of no use to them, he would have this doctor do like medical experiments on them and basically turn their bodies into like weird, grotesque monsters. And he comes across one of these grotesque monsters. And the grotesque monster is like begging for Liam to kill them. And Liam's like, why should we kill them when we can cure them with this elixir? And then one of his soldiers like, sir, those elixirs, they're very, very expensive. You would also need to hire doctors so that once they turn back into their human forms, they have to basically go through therapy, both physical therapy and mental therapy, so that they can be able to go back into regular society. That's going to cost a lot of money. And Liam's like, it doesn't matter. Like, I have enough money. If I do this for these people, then they will have no choice but to basically like worship me. If I do this, if I help them, if I cure them and bring them back into, turn them back into regular humans, then they'll basically see me like a god because I did something for them. And so he does this. He ends up giving them elixirs. He ends up basically turning them into regular humans by having doctors watch over them and giving them therapy and stuff. And then once they're regular humans, they go back into society. Some of them become soldiers under him. One of them becomes like his most loyal soldier, and she basically sees him as a god, and she'll do whatever he says. It doesn't matter what his orders are because he saved her life. So now she's duty bound to him. And it goes on and on and on, where Liam refers to himself as an evil overlord. He sees himself as an evil overlord. He acts like an evil overlord, but because his antics constantly benefit his people, everybody loves him. Everybody loves him for everything that he does. And it's just this funny thing where it reminds me very much of The Eminence in Shadow with Sid, where Sid's doing like all these things and he thinks that he's just role playing, but it ends up like being true. Or it ends up benefiting people. Like he'll do something just because he thinks it's badass, and then it actually ends up benefiting like other people around him. That's kind of what Liam does. Only instead of trying to be cool, he just wants to benefit himself. He wants prestige. He wants money. He wants the good life. Like everything is about me, 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 me. But for all that to happen, the people around him need to succeed, because the more they succeed, the more he can succeed off of them. And so he starts doing all these things that he thinks are evil, but they just end up benefiting everybody around him. And because they benefit everyone around him loves him. And so everyone sees him as this glorious god king, when in his head, he's thinking that he's this evil emperor. And yeah, that's basically what this series is about. It's about this guy who believes he's the evil lord of an intergalactic empire, but meanwhile, all of his subjects think that he's like the god emperor, because everything he does benefits them. And that's why I freaking love this series. It's just the comedy is so good. So there's I'm the evil overlord of an intergalactic empire. I'll leave a link where you can read it down in the description below. But I hope you enjoy the video, and I hope to see you next time. Take care. Later. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, I still want to thank you for watching it this far, and I hope the next one is more to your liking. With that said, thank you once again, and I hope you guys and gals have a good one. Later.